Alright, hey guys, so in this tutorial I want to talk about for loop in Python. So before we get into the programming and syntax, I want to talk about why we want to use for loop. So we want to use for loop when we have, let's say, some collections with bunch of elements, and we want to apply certain functions or certain items, or we want to add something for each item of that collections or of that list, and that's when we want to use for loop. So let's say for the sake of having an example, let's say we have this temp list, which is a range of numbers from 0 to 9. So if I do temp list, I have this list from 0 to 9. Let's say I want to have a new list where each element of this list would have 2 added to it. So for example, here instead of 0 I would have 2, instead of 1 I would have 3, instead of 2 I would have 4. So one way to do this is using the for loop. Okay, so let's get into how we use for loop. So we have this for keyword, and then after for we wanna have some variable so that we can call on each of these items. So the syntax is for each item from in list. So instead of, we could say each item, we could say, and then we could say just item, we could say anything, we could say I, we could say j. It doesn't really matter what we call it as long as we give it certain name. So I would say for item in temp list. So what we are saying here is that for each item, which means for 0 or for 1, for 2, for 3 in temp list. So for each item in temp list, what I want to do is I want to add 2 with it. So item plus 2, and let's say I print that. So if I do that, you could see that I have this new each of these items gets printed. So what happens here is that when you run the for loop, it's gonna go through this list from index 0 all the way to the end. And so in the first iteration it's picking up the first one, and then it's adding 2 with the first one, which returns 2. In the second iteration it picks up 1, and then this item represents 1 here, and then it adds 2 with it, which becomes 3, and we print 3. So, and it goes on until the end. So that's how we do for loop. So what if we wanted to what we talked about, like having a new list of all these values. So we could do something like, here we could do result list is 0, and then instead of printing it we could just do result.append, and then item plus 2. Once we do this, and then if we print result, we see that we have this new list, which is basically which is where we are adding 2 with each items from this old list. So that's pretty much what I have for loop.